What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another installment into the extraordinary life of Emon. I am your host, and today we're going to go ahead and talk about bad policing, and specifically something that happened to me at work that honestly kind of made me mad. But before we jump into any of that, do me the favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave me a wonderful comment down below. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so my favorite pastime at work, when nothing else is going on, there's no calls for service, there's nothing pending, nothing that I'm required to be doing, is to go hit the warrant book. Basically at the job, we have a giant book and it's full of warrants. Everybody who's wanted is in this book. So for me, all I have to do is go to the book, sign out associated warrants, and then go hunt the people down. I say that because at this point, I've made probably thousands of arrests in every type of situation, every type of incident I have made an arrest with. I'm comfortable in saying that at this point I could be even considered like a subject matter expert when it comes to the laws of arrest. I've made so many types of arrests. What I want you guys to do is keep this in mind throughout the story moving forward, that I have made thousands of arrests. Okay, keep it in mind. That being said, let me go ahead and tell you guys what happened. So at work recently, I got a new sergeant. No problem, not a big deal. That happens. My old sergeant got a promotion, I get a new sergeant. That's how it works, right? This wonderful new sergeant that I have, he doesn't have a lot of patrol experience. He comes from behind the desk, to be completely honest. I don't know why they put him here, but they did, and now I have to deal with him. And I don't want to come off as one of those type of people who's hard to be around, who's hard to work with or anything like that. I'm really not. I can work with just about anybody, but when it comes to my work, I don't play. I hold everybody accountable, and I expect you to know your P's and Q's. Now that I think about it, I think I do know why they actually put him there, because me and my crew, my guys, my patrol mates, my squad, whatever you want to call them, my teammates, we all have a lot of experience. So they probably put him here because they figured it would be a safe bet. So if done right, he should have a cake job. He shouldn't have to really do anything. Nevertheless, he's already starting out bad. So for the majority of this weekend that just passed, I spent it searching for somebody who was wanted and who was actively evading law enforcement. Last week, this subject actually beat the hell out of his wife. He prevented her from leaving the apartment, and then he eventually took her cell phone so she couldn't summon emergency services. So this subject was actively running from us. I got word about him, so I decided that I would give him my undivided attention. So what I was gonna do is spend time actively searching for this person. So what I did was I went to his family. They didn't cooperate. They didn't want to tell me where he was. Despite me threatening obstruction of justice, they still didn't tell me. So that was a dead stick. So I went to many places that he frequented, could not locate it. I even found out what vehicle he was driving so I can put out a bolo, or better known as a be on the lookout, on the tag of the vehicle and potentially locate the subject, right? So none of it was happening. I couldn't find him. He was in the wind. I had no leads in reference to finding him. So I decided that I was going to go ahead and bait him. So what I did was I decided to utilize the girlfriend because of that connection that they had. So I asked the girlfriend, can I have her phone? Can I utilize her phone to help apprehend the subject? She totally agreed. She was on board. She gave me the phone. She said, utilize it to your heart's content. Not a problem. So I text the guy under the guise of being her. I expressed that I wanted to talk about what happened, that I wanted to get back together with him, etc., etc. I said whatever I had to say to get him to agree to meet. Eventually, we decided that we would meet back at the residence where the incident happened. The only issue was he didn't actually give me a time. There was like 4 or 5 different times that could be throughout the day, and I didn't want to spook him. I didn't want to come off as if I didn't know the time, so I decided to just say, okay, the trap at this point is set. I'm ready to go. I now know on a specific date he is coming to the residence. Everything is going smoothly. So because I didn't actually know exactly what time he was going to be there, I set up an operations plan. I got a couple of guys together. I set up an operation to watch the house. So whenever he would get there, we would spring the trap and go apprehend him. I had about 4 or 5 guys surrounding the residence, hidden in unmarked cars. Simple as that. It's a very simple operation. Doesn't take a lot of manpower. I didn't get approved for any overtime hours, so I had to utilize the guys who were already working. So I asked the sergeant on duty during that shift if they could help me out. He agreed. Now that that was taken care of, I got with the victim, the girlfriend again, and then I asked her for the code to access the dwelling, and she did provide us with the code and say if he did make it inside of the residence, she gave consent for us to enter the residence to apprehend him. They also had cameras so that if he actually did manage to get ahead of us or get away from us or slide into the residence without us knowing, we would be alerted by the camera system to tell us he's there. This is sounding like it's foolproof, don't it? It was a simple operations plan and it was pretty good. So when everybody was in position, I wasn't approved for any kind of overtime, so I went home. The next morning, unfortunately, I looked at my emails and the guys that I had set up to watch the house, they had to get pulled off of the operation. We just didn't have the staffing, so that's how that went down. They needed to pull those units. That's how that happens. It's not a big deal, it just happened like that. So there was a big gaping hole in the time frame in which he could have actually got to the apartment and slipped by us. We still had the cameras in place, so we were good, we were golden. If he was there, I would know about it. So the next thing that I did was reach out to the victim, the girlfriend again, in reference to accessing the cameras to see if he was actually inside of the residence already. Upon reviewing the camera data from the night before, it was determined that the male was actually inside of the residence. The trap was sprung. He was there and I was going to get my man, basically. We looked at live data and according to the live data, he was still there asleep because by this point, it probably was like 7 in the morning. We had a limited window to get into position and to go apprehend that subject. I specifically told the victim to stay away from the residence because I didn't want her involved because she was traumatized because she had been beaten and held captive by this subject. So I told her to stay at her parents' house, which was nearby, and I would let her know when everything was good to go, when everything was over. Not a problem, right? So at this point, the trap is set. Everything is golden. Everyone's in place. I got my guys down there. We're good. All the legalese was taken care of. We looked over everything. We dotted the I's. We crossed the T's. We were ready to go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This one's getting a little bit too long. So we're going to go ahead and pause it right here. If you guys can, do me the favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a wonderful comment down below. All that wonderful good stuff. Until we get to part 2, I want to say I appreciate you guys. This has been another installment into the extraordinary life of Emon. I've been your host, and I'll see you on the next one.